Quick, say 3 Japanese names off the top of your head. Tokyo, Osaka, Ibanez. Wait, Ibanez? Huh? That's not Japanese, it's Spanish. Why does a Japanese guitar company have a Spanish sounding name? And while we're at it, what's a Fender, a Gibson, an ESP? Wait, that's probably an initialism, right? But what's it stand for? There's a story behind every guitar brand logo. Some inspiring, some ridiculous, and some that are literally just, yeah, that's my last name. But what is the origin of the names of our favorite guitar brands? Grab your G-string, the one on your guitar please, because today we're gonna find out how every major guitar brand got its name. The Acoustic Age. Let's start all the way back in 1833, the dawn of the acoustic guitar era. 1833, C.F. Martin and Co., United States. Picture an acoustic guitar and you'll likely see what Martin guitars helped popularize. Christian Frederick Martin was a German guitar maker who spent years training as a luthier. When it was time for him to start a guitar company, he couldn't. Because at that time in Germany, you had to be a member of a certain guild to legally build guitars. Fed up with the guild system rules, he decided to immigrate to America where he could freely build whatever he wanted. In 1833, he started C.F. Martin and Co., which we all just call Martin today, and over 190 years later, they're still the gold standard of acoustic guitars. Fun fact, Martin invented the dreadnought body shape in 1916, a larger acoustic guitar meant to give you more volume and bass oomph. It's called a dreadnought because it's named after a British battleship. I mean, yeah, I can see the similarities. There's thousands of famous Martin guitar players out there. Just to name a few, we've got Eric Clapton, Johnny Cash, and everyone's favorite red-headed pop star, Ed Sheeran. Mid-1800s, Antonio de Torres Guardo, España. Before the idea of a big guitar brand even existed, there was Antonio de Torres Guardo, the father of the modern classical guitar. Working in Spain in the mid-1800s, Torres revolutionized the instrument's design with fan bracing, a larger body, and thinner topwood. His goal was simple: more volume, better tone, and greater resonance. The Torres guitar became the blueprint for every modern classical and acoustic guitar that followed. Fun fact, he didn't have a brand name at the time. His name itself became the brand. Today, owning an original mid-1800s Torres is like owning the Mona Lisa of guitars. 1873, Epiphone, Greece/United States. Epiphone's story starts in Greece, where Anastasios Stathopoulou began building lutes and fiddles in 1873. When his family moved to New York in 1903, his son, Epaminondas Stathopoulou, took over the business. Sorry for butchering the names. The name Epiphone comes from epi, short for the son's name, Epaminondas, plus phone, Greek for sound, Epiphone. They rose to prominence in the 1930s and 40s by becoming one of Gibson's biggest competitors, especially in the jazz archtop market. Ironically, in 1957, Gibson ended up buying Epiphone, turning their old rival into their more affordable sister brand. Did you know? The Beatles played Epiphones long before they could afford Gibsons. The Epiphone Casino became a rock and roll icon thanks to John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison. 1883, Washburn, United States. Washburn got its start in Chicago during America's post-Civil War boom. They began as part of Leon and Healy, one of the biggest musical instrument makers at the time. Washburn name comes from the middle name of founder George Washburn Leon. They started out making mandolins and banjos, but guitars soon took over. Washburn became popular for making high-quality American-made acoustic guitars. You know how I said Martin invented the dreadnought shape in 1916? Well, technically Washburn was making almost jumbo-sized acoustic guitars as early as 1912. I guess the glory goes to who names it first. In the 1980s, Washburn were one of the brands to embrace metal-looking guitars with pointy shapes and crazy finishes. This drew in up-and-coming metal guitarist Dimebag Darrell, who eventually had a signature guitar with the brand. Another famous Washburn player is Nuno Bettencourt of Extreme fame. His wood-looking N4 Washburn signature model became a 90s icon. But recently, Nuno started his own guitar company, Nuno Guitars. Strum a G chord every time someone names a guitar brand after themselves. 1883, Gretsch, United States. If a guitar looks like a Christmas ornament and twangs like heaven, you know it's a Gretsch. The company was founded in 1883 by young German immigrant Friedrich Gretsch in Brooklyn, New York. They made banjos, drums, and tambourines, with guitars coming along a little later. The name Gretsch comes from his family's surname. Gretsch became the sound of rock and roll in the 1950s. The Gretsch formula was simple: sparkly finishes, twangy tone, and oversized hollow bodies. The legendary Gretsch 6120 Chet Atkins model basically defined the sound of rockabilly. And later, George Harrison, Brian Setzer, and Malcolm Young all helped make Gretsch guitars timeless icons of cool. I wanted to say icons of Americana, but two of those players are not even American. 1887, Hefner, Germany. A German luthier named Karl Hefner started an instrument-making company in 1887. He named the company after himself and started making high-quality violins. But they changed the world in 1955. That's when they invented the famous violin-inspired bass guitar, the 500/1. It was made popular by none other than Paul McCartney of Beatles fame in the 1960s. And he still plays them today. But I think Sir Paul McCartney is the only one, because I don't see anybody else playing them. Fun fact, the 500/1 is still made today in the same exact factory in Germany. 1887, Yamaha, Japan. There is no company on this list as diverse as Yamaha. They make motorcycles, boats, and of course, musical instruments. The tuning fork on their logo is a nod to this. The Yamaha brand name comes from founder Torakusu Yamaha. They started producing guitars in the 1960s, bringing Japanese precision to acoustic and electric design. The exact year is 1966. How do I know this? Because it's on the truss rod cover of my red label Japanese-made Yamaha acoustic guitar. I absolutely adore this acoustic guitar. It's expertly crafted, plays so easily, and is harmonically rich. Yamaha are easily the most slept on guitar brand. Every instrument I've tried of theirs, whether it's a guitar, a bass, or piano, has been excellent, no matter the price. The brand mostly focuses on lower budget instruments, but recently they've been trying to go upmarket with the Japanese-made Yamaha Pacifica Professional Series. I may or may not have one of those in my reverb cart right now. Fun fact about Yamaha, they used to make motorcycles and guitars in the same factory for a while. That's range. Famous players include Carlos Santana early in his career, John Denver, whose custom-made Yamaha acoustic guitar I got to see up close at the Denver History Museum earlier this year, and bassist Billy Sheehan. 1890, Squier, United States. Before it became Fender's budget brand, Squier was actually a small American company founded by Victor Carroll Squier in 1890. Originally named V.C. Squier Company, they made violin strings, not guitars. The name comes from the founder's last name, Squier. Plus, it's kinda cool with the whole Squier-Knight connection. For decades, Squier was known for crafting high-quality strings until Fender bought the company in the 1960s. Then in 1982, Fender revived the Squier name for its new line of affordable guitars made in Japan. The first Fender Squiers were so well made that many players swear they're better than the Fenders from the same era. Those fans are some of the most passionate ones out there, even wilder than Jeep owners who have 50+ ducks on their dashboard. Famous players include John Frusciante and Jack Pearson. 1892, Harmony, United States. Founded in 1892 in Chicago by Wilhelm J.F. Schultz, Harmony started out making mandolins before becoming one of the largest guitar manufacturers in America. The name Harmony reflects the company's goal of making affordable instruments that could bring harmony into every household. A little musically on the nose, but I'll take it. By the 1950s and 60s, Harmony was producing hundreds of thousands of guitars a year. Many sold through department stores like Sears under different brand names. Sears, remember them? Did you know that Harmony's H44 Stratotone was one of the first solid body electric guitars ever made? Artists like Jimmy Reed and the Black Keys' Dan Auerbach have proudly used them to capture a gritty, vintage tone. 1902, Gibson, United States. Hide your headstocks! This brand is only for weightlifters because you need shoulders of steel to play these heavy beasts. All jokes aside, Gibson is one of the biggest United States guitar manufacturers today. Orville Gibson started out hand-carving mandolins in his workshop in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The brand name? His last name, Gibson. Yet another brand named after a guy. He believed instruments should be carved, not bent, kinda like violins, which led to archtop guitars. And we gotta give it to Gibson because they practically invented the modern electric guitar with the Les Paul in 1952. One of the first ever signature guitars named after the guitarist Les Paul. I always thought Les Paul was just the name of the guitar, not the name of an actual guy, but when I started researching about him, I found out that Les Paul could possibly be the first shredder of all time. I mean, he was going crazy up and down the neck in the 1950s. Aside from the world-famous Les Paul, Gibson has other famous models like the ES335 and SG. Can you name a more iconic trio of guitar-shaped designs? To name just a few famous players, we've got Jimmy Page, Slash, and B.B. King, guitar-playing royalty. 1925, Hagström, Sweden. Hagström opened a shop in Sweden in the 1920s. They were making accordions before diving into electric guitars around 1958. The name comes from the founder, Albin Hagström. They were known for their sleek designs, fast necks, and even the world's first 8-string bass, the Hagström H8. No, not like the 8-string basses that are favored by the metal maniacs of today. The strings were in courses, where 2 strings were closely placed together to create a chorus-type sound, similar to 12-string guitars. The brand stopped selling guitars from the 80s to the mid-2000s, but are now back thanks to their name being licensed. Who knows if they still have that simple, well-thought-out Swedish charm. Elvis Presley, Frank Zappa, and David Bowie all played Hagströms. 1927, National, United States. National was founded in 1927 by John Dopiera and George Bucamp in Los Angeles with one wild idea: to make guitars loud enough to compete with brass instruments in big bands. The name National comes from their dream of creating an all-American instrument company with national reach. Get it? Hey, at least it's not another last name. They pioneered the resonator guitar, which uses metal cones instead of wood to amplify sound. Basically, the ancestor of the modern electric guitar without the need of an amp. Fun fact, National's Style O resonator, the shiny metal one with the palm tree engraving, became iconic after appearing on the cover of Dire Straits' Brother in Arms. Players like Mark Knopfler and Son House made that metallic twang unforgettable. 1928, Dobro, United States. When John Dopiera left National, he and his brothers started a new company called Dobro, short for Dopiera Brothers. Their slogan? Dobro means good in any language. It actually means good in Slovak, their native tongue. Dobro continued perfecting the resonator design, making their guitars louder, lighter, and cheaper than National's. So it's no surprise the iconic Dobro resonator became the defining sound of bluegrass and country slide guitar. Even though they split from National, by 1932, National and Dobro ended up merging, bringing the resonator revolution full circle. 1931, Kay, United States. Kay Musical Instrument Company got its start in 1931 in Chicago, founded by Henry K. Kurmeyer, hence the name K. Yeah, we're still in the name it after yourself era. They were one of the first companies to produce electric guitars commercially and became famous for their stylish, budget-friendly models sold through department stores. In its prime, K was producing instruments for brands like Silvertone and Airline, meaning millions of people unknowingly owned a K-made guitar. Blues legend Howlin' Wolf and Jimmy Reed played their instruments. 1931, Rickenbacker, United States. Rickenbacker started as a tiny company called the Ropat Incorporation. Founded by Adolf Rickenbacker and George Bucamp in 1932, they built the world's first commercially produced electric guitar, the quote-unquote frying pan. The name Rickenbacker comes from founder Adolf's last name Rickenbacker, and they chose that name over Bucamp because apparently the name was famous at the time thanks to his second cousin being World War I flying ace Eddie Rickenbacker. They just switched it up to sound a little more American. Instead of Rickenbacker, they called it Rickenbacker and changed the spelling. Rickenbacker is the first guitar company to use aluminum bodies for guitars. Tone wood? Forget that, we've got tone metals. Famously, the Beatles' John Lennon and George Harrison put Rickenbacker on the map. The Electric Boom, 1940 to 1960. It's time to electrify the guitar. 1946, Fender, United States. When somebody says electric guitar, what's the first thing a normie thinks of? Yep, it's a Strat. Fender was started by accountant turned radio repairman Leo Fender. He thought, why not make an electric guitar that's easy to fix? You can think of him as the Henry Ford of guitar makers, bringing modern day assembly line practices and mass production techniques to guitar making. It helped speed up production and reduce prices so more people could afford a guitar. And that meant more players. Leo named the company after himself, Fender Electric Instrument Company. Fun fact, Fender didn't play guitar, not even a little. He just made them better than everybody else. And apparently, he got it right the first time because Fender still sells basically the same exact guitar from 1950 today. I personally don't know why they can cost as much as $3,000. The Telecaster, Stratocaster, and Precision Bass, which was the first electric bass guitar ever made, are all iconic. They're the tools of modern music as we know it today. Well, before computers came along. I could be here forever listing all the famous Fender players, but just to name a select few: Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, David Gilmour, John Mayer. 1946, Carvin, United States. The company that brought guitar customization to the masses. Carvin was founded by Lowell C. Kiesel. He originally named the company after himself, but changed the name in 1949 to Carvin when he moved the company to California. But what's a Carvin? It's the combination of the first names of Kiesel's two eldest sons, Carson and Gavin. I'm just glad his sons' names weren't Ben and Dover. Carvin originally started as a pickup company, but then in the 70s started making guitars. When hair metal was getting huge in the 80s, they tried a new business model, offering guitar customizations. The idea was rather than just the biggest players having their own signature guitars, the everyman can have their own too. Famous players include Jason Becker, Alan Holdsworth, and of course you, because you have your own signature guitar. 1946, Framus, Germany. After World War II, a German violin maker named Fred Wilfer wanted to help displaced instrument makers restart their lives. To do that, he founded Framus, a combination of Franconian musical instruments. The company quickly became one of Europe's largest guitar manufacturers. They were known for their bold designs and quality craftsmanship. Today, Framus is part of the Warwick family, still making high-end German-made guitars. Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones played a Framus bass early in his career, helping the brand gain worldwide fame. Today, one of the biggest guitarists with a signature Framus is Devin Townsend with his Skittles-looking crazy rainbow guitar. 1947, Danelectro, United States. This company was founded in 1947 by Nathan Daniel. The name is a combination of his name with electro. hence Dan Electro. Before starting the company, he built amplifiers for Sears and Montgomery Ward, but eventually thought, why not make the guitars too? He started making affordable instruments using clever cost-cutting ideas, like masonite and poplar frames, lipstick tube pickups, and bolt-on necks, all of which accidentally became part of their charm. Those famous lipstick pickups, they're not just a cute name. They were literally made using surplus lipstick tubes Nathan bought from a cosmetics factory. You could say he was a wise and practical man. Dan Electro guitars are known for their lo-fi, jangly sound that became iconic in surf, indie, and garage rock. Famous players include Jimmy Page, who used a Dan Electro 3021 on Kashmir, as well as Syd Barrett and Beck. 1947, Tokai Gakki, Japan. Tokai started by building harmonicas and pianos before turning to electric guitars in 1952. The name means Eastern Sea, referring to the region near the factory. Gakki is Japanese for musical instruments. One of the few guitar companies that's named after something other than a person. In the 1970s and 80s, they created the blueprint for how Japanese companies could penetrate the American market by making ridiculously good copies of American guitars like Les Pauls and Strats. Many guitar players today swear they're even better than the originals. Tokai's 1980 Love Rock Les Paul copy is legendary and still sought after today. Fender even noticed how good the quality was because in the 90s, they partnered with Tokai to make Japanese-made official Fender guitars. Although in the United States they're famous for their copies, I love their original designs like the all-aluminum Talbot. I almost bought one on Reverb the other day, but then I remembered I'm broke! Famous fans of Tokai include Stevie Ray Vaughan, who played a Tokai Strat early in his career. It's even featured on the cover of his debut album from 1983, Texas Flood. Yeah, that's a Tokai guitar, not a Strat. 1952, Guild, United States. Guild was founded in 1952 by Alfred Dronge, I think that's how you pronounce it, a jazz guitarist, and George Mann, a former Epiphone executive. They started out in New York City building guitars for jazz musicians before branching out into acoustics and electrics. They chose the name Guild to evoke craftsmanship and tradition, like a medieval guild of master builders. Wouldn't it have been amazing if Guild and Squire worked together? The nightly possibilities. In the 1960s, Guild became one of the first major American companies to make 12-string guitars that could actually stay in tune. Before that, it was a play and pray type of situation. Famous players include Richie Havens, Brian May, and Kim Thale of Soundgarden. All very different vibes, but somehow Guild fits them all. 1956, Mosrite, United States. Founded by Simi Mosley in Bakersfield, California, Mosrite's name combines his surname Mosley with that of his business partner, Ray Boatwright. Mosrite. Cute. Their guitars stood out for ultra slim necks, hot pickups, and futuristic curves. Those are the exact things I'm thinking of in the genre Mosrite were most used for. Surf rock. Mosrite have one band to thank most of all, The Ventures, an instrumental quartet that helped popularize the electric guitar across the world during the 1960s. If you wanted to play instrumental guitar right, you gotta have a Mosrite. While they're mainly seen as an icon of the 1960s, in the 1990s, Kurt Cobain used a Mosrite to record the album Nevermind and played it live during their early years. 1956, Aria, Japan. Aria began in Japan in 1956, founded by Shiro Arai, so it's named after its owner. Yes, but the word aria means melody or a solo piece in an opera. So there's a musical connection there. By the 70s and 80s, the Aria Pro 2 electric model became cult favorites for their build quality and affordability. I first became aware of the brand when I was studying at Clemson University. I drove over to a small town in South Carolina called Anderson to check out this tiny little guitar store in a strip mall. The owner was super chill and had a number of cool used guitars, including an Aria. He let me play it, and I remember it played and sounded awesome. I was starting to drink the Aria Kool-Aid, but I didn't end up buying it because I was a college student eating ramen for dinner for the 5th week in a row. There aren't many famous Aria players, but Cliff Burton of Metallica and Yngwie Malmsteen both played Arias early in their careers. 1958, Samick, Korea. A once major player in guitars worldwide, Samick Musical Instruments was founded in South Korea by Lee Hyo-ik. The name Samick means 3 benefits in Korean, referring to their philosophy of harmony between sound, technology, and people. Nice! Originally a piano company, Samick expanded into guitars in the 1970s and became one of the largest OEM manufacturers in the world, building instruments for Epiphone, Washburn, and many others. It's estimated that at one point in time, 1 out of every 3 guitars sold worldwide was made in the Samick factory. I've got some history with Samick. My first ever electric guitar was a Samick Greg Bennett model. It had a knockoff Floyd Rose that I remember never stayed in tune. Imagine you're a parent and you buy your metal-loving 14-year-old son his first electric guitar that never stays in tune. Yeah, now I know why my parents were telling me music may not be my calling in life. Since they were more of a budget brand, there were no known notable Samick guitar players. 1959, Burns, London, Great Britain. Founded by James Ormston Burns and Alice Louise Farrell, the British company made some of the most innovative early electric guitars in the United Kingdom. The name Burns comes from its fiery founder, who was constantly experimenting with pickups, tremolos, and body shapes. In 1962, they invented a guitar vibrato system that was later licensed by Gretsch. Their most famous model, the Burns Marvin, was made for the Shadow's Hank Marvin, helping define the sound of early British rock. Their biggest claim to fame has to do with their pickups. Their distinctive trisonic pickups were once used by Brian May of Queen in his legendary red special guitar. It forever impacted both the look and sound of Queen. 1959, Takamine, Japan. Considered by many to be the biggest Japanese acoustic guitar company, Takamine was founded at the base of Mount Takamine in Japan, and that's where the name comes from. Originally a family shop, Takamine became world famous for pioneering acoustic electric guitars with built-in preamps and piezo pickups. That's the type of pickup that's right in the bridge, right under the string. Basically, if you've got electronics in your acoustic guitar, you've got Takamine to thank, because they made it popular. Glenn Frey, Bruce Springsteen, and John Bon Jovi all played Takamine's live, proving you could plug in an acoustic and still sound huge on stage. 1960, Court, Korea. This company is the most prominent guitar builder in the world today. They make over 1 million guitars a year. They started as Su-Do Piano, and they were established in 1960 by Jung-Yu Park. Their focus was importing musical instruments from Japan and America into South Korea, but then eventually started making their own instruments like guitars. Enter American Jack Westemere. He was importing Japanese-made guitars in the 1960s and would often brand the Spanish guitars as Cortez because it has a Spanish flair to it. Doing this video, I'm realizing there's a lot of Spanish connections in guitar making today. By 1973, when exchange rates made Japanese production less cost-effective, Westemere co-founded a manufacturing company in South Korea with Su-Do Piano. They named this new entity UA, which was later renamed Cortec, derived from Cortez, Korea. the parent company of Korg Guitars today. Trying to cut down on labor costs, they set up a factory in Indonesia back in the 1990s, which is where most of the guitars are built now. They make guitars for dozens and dozens of major guitar brands like Ibanez, PRS, and Sterling by Ernie Ball Music Man. If the label on the back of your headstock says Made in Indonesia, you'd be a wise man to bet that Korg made that guitar. 1965, Ibanez, Japan. The brand that started this whole video. Be honest, how many of you thought Ibanez was Japanese and not Spanish? Ibanez began as Hoshino Gaki in 1908, named after the founder Matsujiro Hoshino, and Gaki means musical instruments in Japanese. In 1929, they were importing guitars made by the Spanish company Salvador Ibanez. Who's Salvador Ibanez? A renowned Spanish luthier making top-tier classical guitars at the time. He passed away in 1920, but his name was so well known in Spain, and I guess in Japan, that Hoshino decided to import guitars named after him into the country. Similarly to Tokai, in the 1970s, Hoshino Gaki started making incredible copies of Strats and Gibsons. Fans call these guitars the lawsuit era guitars because in 1977, Gibson sued Ibanez for copying their booklet-style headstock design. The case was settled out of court, and then Ibanez started doing more original designs. Although Ibanez is mainly known to be played by shredders, the first ever Ibanez signature guitar artist was jazz player George Benson in 1977, who still has a signature guitar with them almost 50 years later. Back in high school, I had a friend whose dad owned a George Benson signature guitar, and he let me play it. All I can say is butter. It played like butter. But undeniably, the most famous Ibanez guitar player is Steve Vai. He worked with Ibanez to design and create a brand new innovation of electric guitars, which he called the Gem. Ibanez then created a tamer version of the Gem and called it the RG, which stands for Roadstar Guitar. I love Ibanez guitars. My favorite neck shape of all time is the famously thin Super Wizard HP on my RG 5120. Just 17 millimeters on the first fret, 19 millimeters at the 12th fret. And it's got a D profile where it's a little flatter on the back, and it's got these nice shoulders that feel amazing when playing and doing bending, and it's just awesome. I love it. As one of the biggest Japanese guitar manufacturers, they have a healthy amount of famous players. Highlights include Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert, and the guitarists from Meshuggah with their 8-string monsters. They helped design the first ever 8-string guitars that Ibanez developed with them and brought to market. 1965, Peavey, United States. Founded by Hartley Peavey in Mississippi, Peavey started out making amplifiers before expanding into guitars. The name? Just the founder's surname, simple as that. Their first major guitar, the T60, was one of the earliest to be mass-produced with CNC machines, and later they created the EVH Wolfgang with Eddie Van Halen. Peavey once employed over 1,800 people and was the largest independent manufacturer of musical equipment in the United States. Nowadays they make less guitars and focus on amplifiers. 1965, Ovation, United States. Ovation was founded by Charles Kaman, an aerospace engineer who applied aircraft technology to guitars. Why? Because acoustic guitars at the time had a problem: feedback. Kaman designed a new shape for the back and made it from a glass fiber-like material that he called Lyracord. It worked. Feedback was greatly reduced and they could amplify the acoustic instruments even louder. The name Ovation comes from the idea of applause, the sound of appreciation. Wow, a rare guitar company not named after the person. Let's give them a round of applause. I've played many Ovation acoustic guitars in my life and I've loved all of them. They play great and sound awesome. Except I'm not really fond of the ones with the larger backs because they tend to slip on my lap, but the thinner ones are where it's at. There aren't many famous Ovation players today, but there certainly is one very famous one. Glenn Campbell. He helped launch the brand into fame by playing an ovation live on TV. 1967, La Revue, Canada. Canada is entering the guitar-making world. John Larrivee was a Canadian luthier who started out as an apprentice classical guitar builder in the late 1960s. When he branched out to make his own instruments, he simply used his name, Larrivee, as the company name. Simple, elegant, very French-Canadian. He applied classical building techniques to steel string acoustics, giving them that balanced piano-like tone Larrivee guitars are famous for. They're also known for their symmetrical bracing, flawless craftsmanship, and subtle aesthetics. Fun fact, Jean Larrivee personally trained many of today's top luthiers, including people who went on to work for Taylor Guitars. His influence quietly shaped modern acoustic guitar building. Famous players include Brad Paisley and Tommy Emmanuel. 1969, Fernandez, Japan. Fernandez was started by a Japanese marketing company. Making flamenco guitars was their specialty, but thanks to their soaring popularity, they soon jumped over to electric guitars. The name Fernandez was chosen to sound Spanish, even though they're a Japanese brand. They first contracted Kawai to make their guitars. Yes, the high-end piano company Kawai. By the way, Kawai did make guitars, but I'm leaving them out of this video because it was for such a short period in the 70s. Surprisingly, Fernandez are not really known for their guitars today. It's for their infinite sustain pickup called the Fernandez Sustainer. Robert Fripp, Kirk Hammett, and The Edge all used Fernandez guitars with built-in sustainers for infinite notes. The Rock and Metal Revolution, 1970 to 1990. Rock and metal are going mainstream, and the instrument of choice is the guitar. 1972, Godin, Canada. Another Canadian company, Godin is unique because they make everything in-house, no outsourcing. They're well known for their acoustic instruments, but they do make a small amount of electric guitars, and even this interesting electric oud guitar hybrid instrument that I've seen Arab players play live a handful of times. Godin was founded by Robert Godin in Quebec, Canada. The name, straight from the man himself. Famous players include Steve Stevens and John McLaughlin. 1974, Ernie Ball Music Man, United States. Music Man was founded by Forrest White, Tom Walker, and Leo Fender as a silent partner. Why silent? Because he was still under a non-compete contract with Fender. The company started with solid-state tube hybrid amps, but quickly progressed to making guitars and basses. They were acquired by Ernie Ball in 1984. Yes, that Ernie Ball, the string company with the brightly colored packages. But why is it called Music Man? The company first started with the name Trisonics, but apparently Leo Fender did not like that name and urged them to rebrand to Music Man. Did he want to emphasize how manly you are when you're playing their instruments? I don't know. I couldn't find why it was actually called Music Man. But if you know, let me know in the comments. But it's a pretty ironic name considering in 2016, the first ever woman to get a signature guitar who got to design the guitar herself was St. Vincent. Her design was all about making the woman first, with a lighter body and a generous curve down the middle, which in her words was to make room for a breast or two. It looks badass. Aside from the legendary John Petrucci playing Ernie Ball Music Man guitars, Music Man is well known for their Stingray bass. Fun fact, Leo Fender himself helped design the Stingray, making it the spiritual successor to the Precision bass. But don't tell Fender fans because Leo got it right the first time. 1974, Taylor Guitars, United States. Bob Taylor and Kurt Lustig were just teenagers working at a small guitar shop called American Dream in the 1970s. When the owner sold it, they did what any 18-year-old would do: buy a guitar store. They were building guitars and needed a new name to put on the headstock, so they decided to use Bob's last name, Taylor. He was the main guitar maker after all, and one of the reasons they said they used that was because it sounded more American than Listug. Taylor Guitars specializes in acoustic instruments and semi-hollow electrics. They're known to be some of the finest American-made acoustic guitars you can buy today. Taylor innovated by being the first acoustic guitar company to use CNC technology, and they pioneered bolt-on necks for acoustics. This revolutionized consistency and repairability. As of 2021, the company is completely employee-owned. No venture capitalists to be found here. Famous players include, of course, Taylor Swift. I mean, when your name is the same name as a guitar brand, you gotta play those guitars. Others include Jason Mraz and Zach Brown. Oh, and prog metal god John Petrucci loves Taylor acoustic guitars too. 1974, B.C. Rich, United States. One of the craziest guitar designs of all time, the Warlock. It was the brainchild of B.C. Rich founder Bernardo Chavez Rico, hence B.C. Rich. His company started out making flamenco guitars in Los Angeles before taking a hard turn left into metal horn territory. Bernardo wanted guitars that looked as aggressive as they sounded, lending to the radical shapes like the Mockingbird, Warlock, and Bitch. Their designs became synonymous with 80s metal and over-the-top stage presence. Did you know that B.C. Rich was one of the first companies to make neck-through-body electric guitars, giving them incredible sustain? Famous players include Slash, Kerry King of Slayer, and Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue. 1975, ESP, Japan. I was at a guitar store the other day, and this guy started telling me about his favorite guitars. ISP, that's what he said. ESP, yes, that's how you correctly say it. The initialism stands for Electric Sound Products. That sounds generic. Now I know why they just go by ESP. They started in Tokyo making replacement parts for guitars, but quickly graduated to making their own. During the 80s guitar boom, George Lynch from the band Dokken fell in love with them and asked them to make some really cool, unique designs. Metallica members James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett got their hands on ESP guitars, started playing them, and that's when the brand got huge. Today they're played by many metal guitar players, including Alex Skolnick, Mick Thompson, and Javier Reyes. I honestly struggle to think of a non-metal band that uses ESP guitars. 1976, Kramer, United States. Founded in New Jersey by builder Travis Bean, he partnered with Gary Kramer to start the Travis Bean Guitar Company in Los Angeles. They originally made aluminum neck bases for a short period, but Bean lost interest and left the company to Gary Kramer. Gary renamed the company after himself and started making guitars during the 1980s shred boom. The brand has become synonymous with rock and glam metal. Their first big hit was building Kiss's Gene Simmons' famous Axe bass. Eddie Van Halen's custom Kramer became one of the most famous guitars in rock history, cementing Kramer as the 80s guitar brand. 1976, Schecter, United States. Schecter started as a parts supplier in California, building pickups and hardware for Fender and Gibson. The name comes from founder David Schecter. By the late 70s, they were making full custom guitars that became favorites among session players. Today, they're known as the guitar brand where they're like, let's throw every possible color scheme and design aesthetic all onto one guitar. And that's synonymous with the mid-2000s nu metal wave. Famous players include Sinister Gates of Avenged Sevenfold, Pete Townsend, and more recently, Nick Johnston with his Wenge-necked Strat lookalike. That guitar has become a hit and is kind of removing that whole brand identity of the crazy colors and designs on their guitars and maturing their designs a little bit. 1976, Charvel, United States. Wayne Charvel started out running a small guitar repair and parts shop in California that specialized in hot rodding Fender guitars. The name comes straight from him, Charvel Guitar Repair. He was noticing that players wanted faster necks, brighter colors, and crazier shapes, so he gave them what they wanted. These early what we call super strats helped popularize the image of the 1980s shred guitar. You know Eddie Van Halen's famous black and yellow Bumblebee guitar? That was built using Charvel parts. That helped make the Charvel San Dimas models famous and icons of the glam metal era. In 2002, Fender bought Charvel, and now they're mainly used as Fender's Fast Players guitar brand. The most notable Charvel players are Eddie Van Halen, Jake Eatley, and Guthrie Govan. All fast hands, no brakes. 1977, Dean Guitars, United States. At the young age of 19, Dean Zielinski founded Dean Guitars in Chicago. He decided to use his first name to brand his guitars. His idea was to make guitars that matched the audaciousness of his name, obviously. They were wild, big, and had headstocks sharper than Dracula's teeth. Their ML shape was designed to increase sustain and resonance. Of course, that's secondary to looking absolutely metal. Dean Guitars got the interest of famous metal musicians in the 80s and 90s, one of them being Dimebag Darrell. He developed a signature guitar with Dean that is easily one of the most recognizable signature guitars ever. 1979, Steinberger, United States. Steinberger was founded by Ned Steinberger, an industrial designer who, fun fact, wasn't even a guitarist. He designed furniture before guitars. The name? Straight from him. Steinberger. In 1979, he turned the guitar world upside down with radical ideas. No headstock, no wood in the neck, and no traditional body shapes. Just carbon fiber, precision, and pure function. Steinberger is an innovator, which is strangely rare in the guitar world. The Steinberger L2 bass looks like something from outer space, but it played so well that Tony Levin and Geddy Lee got one, and they instantly made it famous. Its futuristic and minimal look made it an icon in the 1980s. As with a lot of guitar brands, there was a huge dip in sales during the 90s and Steinberger scaled way back. Today, they're mostly sold under the Spirit brand. But Steinberger's still around making custom instruments. I just watched a video announcing the limited production of an NS Fin bass designed by Steinberger himself. Eddie Van Halen briefly played Steinberger guitars, and headless lover Alan Holdsworth immediately fell for them. People who love breaking the rules, just like Steinberger. 1979, GNL, United States. After selling Fender, Leo Fender teamed up with George Fullerton and Dale Hyatt to start a new company, GNL, short for George and Leo. They had a simple idea: refine Leo's original designs, give their guitars better electronics and better hardware. The duo had no idea that Leo Fender himself saying he's making better guitars could ever convince a Strat guy. Whose mind would be harder to change, a Fender player or a flat earther? Leo Fender considered GNL the best guitars he ever made, and he worked at the company until his passing in 1991. GNL never really made their mark. Sadly, the company was sold just a couple weeks ago, and who knows what's going to happen to their name. The most prominent GNL players would be Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains and Will Ray. 1980, Jackson, United States. When Charvel luthier Grover Jackson took over the shop, he created a new line of high-performance guitars that he branded under his name. The first model, the Randy Rhoads V, built for Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist himself. Wow, what a debut. In the 1980s, Jackson guitars became one of the symbols of metal. Sharp angles, pointy headstocks, and blistering speed. Like Charvel, Fender bought the brand in 2002. Today, they're thriving thanks to the help of newer prog metal players like Misha Mansour. Personally, I have a hard time separating Jackson and Charvel in my mind. They're kind of the same to me, especially now because they're owned by the same company, Fender. And their Japanese-made guitars are made by the same guitar builders, Fujigen. Marty Friedman, Phil Collin, and Adrian Smith all helped turn Jackson into the ultimate shred machine. 1981, Fork, Czech Republic. This brand started in a basement workshop under communist rule. Today, they're known as one of the finest acoustic instrument builders in the world. They were founded by František Fork in the Czech Republic. The name comes from the founder's last name, Fork. After the fall of communism, fork guitars gained worldwide recognition for their stunning tone and craftsmanship. Each fork guitar is hand-built in their Czech facility using sustainably sourced woods. There's one famous name that pops up in my head when I think of fork guitars: Al Di Meola. The 70s rocker and guitar virtuoso swears by their acoustic instruments. 1982, Seagull, Canada. Seagull was founded by Robert Godin in 1982 in a small Quebec village. The name Seagull was chosen to reflect nature, freedom, and the Canadian landscape. I too immediately think of seagulls when I think of Canada. Seagull guitars were designed to give players a handcrafted, boutique quality acoustic guitar at a working musician's price. They're famous for using pressure-tested solid cedar tops and distinctive tapered headstocks that improve tuning stability. I owned a Seagull acoustic guitar for a number of years. It played and sounded fantastic. Famous players include, well, there aren't many famous players, but there is James Blunt. 1982, Mayonnaise, Poland. Founded by two friends, Mayonnaise Guitars began as a family business. The company initially produced budget guitars under challenging political difficulties, but today, Mayonnaise is celebrated for its high-end boutique electric and bass guitars. The name comes from the founder's nickname, Mayo. Which founder? I don't know, because there's very little info out there about the company. But if you know, tell me in the comments. Their gorgeous figured tops, ergonomic shapes, and amazing playability became the favorites of many metal guitar players. To name a couple, Misha Mansour of Periphery and Aaron Marshall of Intervals, but each of them have moved on to other guitar companies since. 1984, Tom Anderson, United States. After spending years as a craftsman at Schecter, Tom Anderson decided to build his own dream guitars, ones that were flawlessly built, modern, and ridiculously consistent. So in 1984, he founded Tom Anderson Guitar Works in California. The name's simple. It's just the man behind the magic. Anderson focused on precision craftsmanship using advanced CNC technology and attention to detail that bordered on obsessiveness in the best way possible. In fact, they were the first guitar company to use CNC machines. Tom Anderson was one of the first boutique builders to perfect the Super Strat formula, familiar Fender-inspired looks with modern playability. 1985, Paul Reed Smith, United States. Building his first guitars in college, Paul Reed Smith was becoming an incredible luthier for his age. He was making custom-made guitars for Peter Frampton, Ted Nugent, and Al Di Meola. But he struck it huge when he convinced Carlos Santana to break away from his precious Yamaha guitar and use his incredible PRS creation in 1980. In 1985, he officially started his company with the launch of the custom model. Today, his guitars are considered some of the best American-made instruments in the world. The name of the company comes from the creator, Paul Reed Smith, but they routinely use the initialism PRS. Aside from Carlos Santana, Mark Tremonti and John Mayer love PRS guitars. Each of them have a signature guitar with the company. 1985, Heritage Guitars, United States. When Gibson left Kalamazoo, Michigan, some of their luthiers stayed behind and founded Heritage Guitars. Their goal was to continue building guitars in the original Gibson factory, including using many of the same tools and techniques. Their name represents their goal, to preserve the heritage of Gibson's golden era of craftsmanship. I gotta give them brownie points because at least it's not another name of a person. Even though Heritage is a smaller brand, their fans are fiercely loyal. They swear that the single cut models they make outplay any Les Paul. I haven't been able to find many famous players who play Heritage guitars, but if you know some, let me know in the comments. 1986, Duesenberg, Germany. This guitar company was founded in Germany by Dieter Gulsdorf, who named the company after the luxury American car brand from the 1920s. The idea was to give a nod to the elegance of engineering. But it blows my mind because we've got a German company named after an American car brand. Hey, it's unique. Their slogan, Art Deco meets rock and roll, sums up their entire vibe. Vintage looks with modern performance. All of the guitars feature the signature Duesenberg tremola, a sleek Art Deco style vibrato system. Famous players include Joe Walsh, Mike Campbell, and even Bob Dylan has been spotted playing their instruments. 1990, Breedlove, United States. Breedlove was founded in Tumalo, Oregon by two former Taylor Guitars luthiers, Larry Breedlove and Steve Henderson. Their mission was to create jaw-dropping acoustic instruments people would love to play and hear. They're most famous for their original body shapes, use of exotic woods, and comfort. When it comes to the name of the company, they chose to use Larry's last name, Breedlove. It sounds sweet. Famous players include Ed Gerhard, Jeff Tweedy, and Chris Hillman. 1992, Eastman, China. Founded by Quan Ni, a musical instrument lover from China, Eastman started making violins before expanding into hand-carved guitars. The name symbolizes Eastern craftsmanship meeting Western music. Their instruments are all handmade, not factory-pressed, giving them boutique-level quality. Many say that Eastman's acoustic and archtop guitars often rival American boutique brands costing much more. Since their brand mainly focuses on teaching and students, there aren't any famous American players, but there are plenty of international artists who play Eastman guitars exclusively. 1993, Parker Guitars, United States. Easily one of the most innovative guitar brands ever. Luthier Ken Parker had a dream to build the lightest, most advanced guitar ever. That vision brought us the Parker Fly in 1993. The name of the brand Parker comes from the man himself, Ken Parker. The Fly is a space-age guitar made with a thin wooden core reinforced by carbon fiber and fiberglass. The trem is redesigned from the ground up and stays in tune perfectly no matter how much you abuse it. It uses stainless steel frets which basically do not wear at all, and it's one of the first guitars to ever include stainless steel frets. It's simply an amazing, incredible design, but it was never a hit because it had three major problems. In Ken's own words, he was building $10,000 guitars and selling them for $3,000. See, all this new innovation required brand new machines, brand new tooling, and people specifically trained to make these guitars. That made everything really expensive. People did not like the look. We all know looks are subjective, but man, trying to get a guitar player to like something other than a Strat or Les Paul shape is like asking a hippo to grow wings. For an instrument that allows for such unique creative expression, guitar players are surprisingly set in their ways. Bad timing. It was the 90s. The guitar gymnastics of the 80s was dead. Grunge was in full force with songs rarely using more than 4 chords. Guitar solos were seen as pretentious or nerdy. Clean guitars and Strats were ruling the airwaves, and anything that looked remotely like the Fly was just not it. So sadly, Parker guitars never really caught on with mainstream players, and Ken Parker sold the company in 2003. There were some famous players though, including Adrian Bellew, Vernon Reid, and Jennifer Batten, all boundary pushers whose playing matched the futuristic ethos of Parker guitars. 1995, Caparison, Japan. Caparison guitars were founded in 1995 in Japan by Itaro Kano, a former designer at Charvel and Jackson, Japan. He wanted to create guitars that merged Japanese precision craftsmanship with bold artistic design. The name caparison comes from a medieval term for the ornate armor and cloth draped over a knight's horse, a perfect metaphor for instruments that are both beautiful and built for battle. That's number 3 for our guitar company and medieval knight references, along with squire and guild. Caparison quickly became known for their meticulous hand-built quality, stunning finishes, and inventive features like the clock inlays, which every fret marker represents an hour. Every guitar is built in Japan by a small, dedicated team. No mass production, no compromises. Fun fact, the company nearly disappeared in the early 2000s, but was revived by Swedish guitarist Mattias Ia Ekelund of Freak Kitchen, who loved their instruments so much he helped bring them back. Today, Caparison guitars are famous among progressive metal and rock players like Phil Campbell of Motorhead, Adam Dukowitz of Killswitch Engage, hopefully I said that right, and Michael Romeo of Symphony X. By the way, Symphony X were one of my favorite bands when I was a teenager. I even got the same pickup setup as Michael Romeo, DiMarzio X2N in the bridge and the DiMarzio Tone Zone in the neck. I installed that into one of my older Ibanez guitars, and that thing was super hot. 1997, Sir, United States. John Sir moved to New York City in his 20s. He was hired as a guitar technician at a guitar shop where the quality of his work was starting to get attention. He became Mark Knopfler's in-studio tech in the 80s. But John wanted more from his Strats. He started combining Schecter necks with Tom Anderson bodies and tweaking them from there. That's when he started getting the hunger for building his own guitars. We fast forward to the 90s, where he's been working as a senior master builder at Fender's custom shop. But in 1997, he had all the skills to start his own guitar brand that he named after himself, Sir. Today, they're known as one of the highest quality guitars money can buy. And oh boy, speaking of money, some of them get ridiculously expensive. I've had the chance to play 2 Sir guitars and they're heavenly. Sadly, I'll likely never own one because they're quite pricey, but who knows, if a really good deal pops up on Reverb, I may go for it. Famous players include Ian Thornley, Matthias Asato, and Andy Wood. 1997, Reverend Guitars, United States. Reverend was founded in Detroit by Joe Naylor, who wanted to create stylish, affordable guitars with unique character. The name Reverend reflects his tongue-in-cheek idea of worshiping tone. They're known for retro-futuristic designs, creative electronics, and rock-solid reliability. Some famous players who have signature guitars with Reverend are Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins and Pete Anderson. 1998, Harley Benton, Germany. Harley Benton is the in-house brand of the German retailer Thomann, launched in 1998. The name sounds like a person, but it's entirely fictional. They designed it to feel classic and trustworthy, American and European at the same time. Harley Benton guitars are known for offering shockingly good quality specs at low prices. In fact, they remind me a lot of Samick guitars, but word on the street is that their quality is even better. The Harley Benton Fusion series has become a favorite among YouTubers for being too good for the price. The Innovators, 2000 to today. Ergonomics and innovation push the boundaries of what a guitar can be. 2007, Chapman Guitars, Great Britain. Chapman Guitars was founded in 2007 by Rob Chapman, a British guitarist and YouTuber better known online as the Captain and Chappers from his collaborations with Anderton's music. The name Chapman comes straight from Rob's surname. Chapman became the first ever crowdsourced guitar brand, where fans helped design the instruments themselves. Through online polls and community feedback, players voted on everything: the body shape, pickups, finishes, and hardware. The idea was to build guitars by guitarists for guitarists. Over time, they expanded into signature models like the ones for Rabia Masad, the ML3 Bia, Chris Robertson, Diego Cavallotti, and Steel Panther singer Michael Starr. 2007, Aristides, Netherlands. Wood in a guitar? But why? That's what the guitar brand Aristides was thinking when they redesigned the guitar ground up completely from man-made materials. Founded in the Netherlands by Aristides Poort, This company set out to solve one problem, the inconsistency of wood. The name Aristides comes from their founder, but it's also fitting. Kind of sounds like a Greek philosopher. And it matches their approach to guitar building because it's just as philosophical. Aristides uses a proprietary composite material called Arium, designed with help from the Delft University of Technology to resonate similarly to guitar woods without warping, cracking, or changing with humidity. Every Aristides guitar is molded as a single piece, including the neck, body, and headstock. This helps give their guitars a sustain and stability that feels almost unreal. 2007, Strandberg, Sweden. Founded by Ola Strandberg in Sweden, this company didn't want to make guitars. They wanted to reinvent them. They reshaped them, they rebalanced them, and they configured them for a 21st century player. The name Strandberg comes from Ola's last name, fitting for a one-man engineering revolution. A lifelong guitarist and industrial designer, he wanted to bring the philosophy of ergonomics that he felt traditional guitars ignored. Strandberg's headless, multi-scale guitars are sculpted for comfort and performance. They're ultra lightweight, perfectly balanced, and built with a modern player's posture in mind. Even the necks have a unique shape, which they call the Endure neck. It's blocky, twisty, and has a guide for your thumb that goes all the way down the neck. It's designed to naturally guide your hand and reduce tension. Fun fact, the very first Strandberg guitars were open source and available under Project Ergonomic Guitar. This let players and luthiers contribute ideas so that Strandberg can create the ultimate ergonomic guitar. Today, artists like Pliny, Per Nilsson, and Sarah Longfield all play Strandbergs. More is More musician Jacob Collier has a signature Strandberg that surprisingly has one less string. It's a 5-string guitar. I would love to play one. 2007, Ormsby, Australia. Australia enters the guitar making world. Founded by Perry Ormsby in Perth, Australia, Ormsby became well known for pushing multi-scale guitars forward. The advantages of multi-scale guitars are clear: tighter strings for better clarity and feel with the lower strings, easier bendability with the higher strings. Bar chords be damned. The name of the company simply comes from Perry's surname, Ormsby. They started by making custom shop guitars in Australia. With success came more demand, so they partnered with Cort to build instruments made in Korea. They've continued to grow and now make more affordable options made in Indonesia. Ormsby has a unique business model. Rather than creating and stocking guitars for people or vendors to buy and sell at guitar stores, they use the same business model as the website Drop. They create pre-orders where if enough people sign up to buy the model that they want to make, then they'll start producing it. This guarantees that they're making guitars players want, and it allows them to present crazy, wild, strange ideas to the community to see if there's enough interest. Like this headless, raw tone, rainbow colored guitar. Super cool. Fun fact, Ormsby appeared on the Australian version of Shark Tank. He didn't end up making a deal for Ormsby guitars, but it was pretty fun seeing a guitar builder on the show. 2010, Relish Guitars, Switzerland. Founded in Switzerland by Sylvain Kung and Pyramin Geiger, hopefully I said those right, Relish is all about innovation. Their famous feature? A modular pickup system that has a magnetic backplate. This allows you to swap pickups in seconds. There's been little to no innovation in guitar pickups over the past 100 years and how you install them, so seeing this system was really awesome. The name Relish comes from the idea of savoring something, as in relishing the sound. Each Relish guitar has a unique aluminum frame hidden inside the body for resonance and stability. Sadly, the company didn't make enough of an impact and they closed down in 2023. 2011, Skurwyson, Poland. This Polish guitar company was founded by Jarek Konkol, specializing in ultra-modern multi-scale guitars. Their unique design trait is the skinny, sharp headstock, which reduces weight on that end and just looks badass. The name Skurwyson is a mystery. Some say it was chosen because it sounded cool and Scandinavian-ish. Others say it sounds similar to the Polish word sukinsyn, which means son of a bitch. Skirvison guitars are well loved in the gent and prog metal communities for their craftsmanship and striking metal-forward designs. 2015, Kiesel, United States. In 2015, Carbon Guitars split into two companies, one for pro audio, retaining the Carbon name, and one for guitars they rebranded to Kiesel. They chose Kiesel to honor their family heritage, and it makes total sense because the company is still owned today by first and second generation Kiesels. And it looks like a third generation of Kiesels is going to be owning the company too. I love Kiesel guitars. In fact, I own two. An Aries A6 that I built and ordered in 2016 that still feels and plays like new thanks to the stainless steel frets and the high quality craftsmanship. Kiesel is actually one of the companies that helped bring stainless steel frets to the masses. I've owned this guitar 9 years and there's no wear on the frets. Plus they feel like butter for bends. I mean, I love them. I want all my guitars to have stainless steel frets. In fact, I only buy guitars with stainless steel frets moving forward. The second model I own is a Vader Multiscale 7. I bought that one used off of Reverb, where the owner played it for a couple weeks and then just put it in the case and it was sitting. And it felt like it because it felt brand new. I didn't have to build it because it just so happened to be the exact model I wanted. It was red, my favorite color, and it had the thin neck option, which is my preferred neck. It's amazing. It's my first multi-scale and my first headless guitar. It is lighter than my 6-string guitars. It's crazy. For 7 and 8-string guitars, headless multi-scale is the way to go. Famous Kiesel endorsers include Frank Gambale, Devin Townsend, and jazz musician Tim Miller, among many others. 2015, Balaguer, United States. Founded in 2015 by Joe Balaguer in Pennsylvania, Balaguer Guitars was born from one idea: to give modern guitarists custom shop quality without the custom shop price tag. The name comes from Joe's surname. Before starting the company, Joe spent years as a luthier and repair tech, studying what guitarists loved and hated about the instruments they owned. He saw a gap between mass-produced guitars that lacked personality and boutique builds that cost a fortune. So he launched the company with a unique approach. Players could go online and design their own guitars using the brand's custom builder tool. Joe personally oversees the final setup and quality control of each US-made Balaguer guitar. That way he ensures things are dialed in, and when you get it, it's ready to go. Famous players include Andy Williams of Every Time I Die. 2017, Solar Guitars, Sweden. Solar guitars are simply metal. They were founded in 2017 by Swedish guitarist and YouTuber Ola England. Rather than doing what almost every other guitar brand does and name it after himself, he called it Solar to reflect both light and energy. The guitars are instantly recognizable: sharp, modern body shapes, matte finishes, high outputs, and fast necks. Ola personally demos most new models on his YouTube channel, blending transparency and community, which helps them stand out. In less than a decade, Solar Guitars has gone from a YouTuber's dream to a global powerhouse in modern metal design, proving that passion and authenticity can rival even the biggest names in the industry. 2018, Abbasi Concepts, United States. Founded by visionary 8-string guitarist Tosin Abbasi in 2018, Abbasi Concepts represents the cutting edge of guitar design, a bold fusion of art, ergonomics, and futuristic sound. The brand is simply named after Tosin's last name, Abbasi. After years of pushing boundaries with animals as leaders, honing an 8-string guitar, Tosin realized that traditional guitars couldn't fully express the techniques and tones he was exploring. So he did what anyone else would do. He built his own guitar. Their guitars routinely feature multi-scale necks, lightweight ergonomic bodies, sculpted contours, and futuristic aesthetics. They want players to feel like the guitar is built for fluidity, comfort, and creativity. Now you know the origin of every major guitar company's name. Every logo is a piece of someone's dream, turned into an instrument that can tell your story. Some are legacies passed down for generations. Some are just last names. And some, like Harley Benton, are completely made up. But that's what makes guitars so cool. They're not just wood, metal, and strings. They're stories you can play. Stories built from passion, struggle, and creativity. Thanks for watching and learning with me. Now go play your guitar.